With the NFL season on the horizon, I thought it would be a fun video to break down each side of the conference and see how the regular season and ultimately playoffs go for each conference. And in today's video, we are going to be breaking down the NFC side, which means very near in the future we are going to be breaking down the AFC side. And by the way, if I did not pick your team to go to the playoffs, or if I don't think your team is going to represent either conference in the Super Bowl, then that is not me flat out saying they will be atrocious and they're awful, because it is not. Now, if I have them going 3-14 or 4-13, then it is because I probably do not believe in the team. But anyways, we will be showing the records of each and every NFC team in today's video, and the website that has you do this, you have to pick every single game. So this is not me just guesstimating and saying, oh, this team is so they'll probably go 6-11 or 7-10. You have to pick every single game. So I am breaking down and picking every single game and then posting the results here. So before we dive into today's video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do and it would be very much appreciated. Now let's begin. Now, as I was going through this, it is very difficult to predict every single game, because there are obviously things at this point in time that may happen, like an injury may happen to a big player. Obviously, we do not wish that, but if a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, if any of those guys go down for an extended time, then obviously each of their respective team's season is going to be drastically different, because each of their backup quarterbacks, really kind of minus Aaron Rodgers, backup quarterbacks aren't exactly all that good, and really the jury is still out for Jordan Love. There is no guarantee that he's going to be this star player. So without further ado, here is what we have for all 17 games. Now, there were several very close games, and some of these teams, like the Bucs going 6-0 in the division, it would not surprise me at all if they drop one game or even two games and have another team in that division do better than what their current record is. And that goes for all of the divisions as well. Some of those games were such toss-ups that it wouldn't surprise me if it goes either way, so all of these teams can be really within a game or two each way, and it wouldn't surprise me. And again, this does not factor in injuries, so if I have your team going 11-6 or the opposite 6-11, it wouldn't surprise me if they go either way. The NFL is such a differing league from week to week that it really wouldn't surprise me unless a team is either astronomically great, like a 16-1 team, or a 1-16 team that you just wouldn't see coming. And most of the time, those teams do not happen by accident. It is more than just one player not being good, and it is most of the time an entire roster being good. So now we will go into the playoffs, and here's how the playoffs played out. For wildcard weekend, here is the results. I do think the Rams could beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. Likewise, it really wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys beat the Rams in the playoffs, because I do think both are very talented rosters. Ultimately, I did go with the Rams because at some point I do think Matt Stafford will get a playoff win, and I don't think the Rams traded all of that on top of having the boy wonder and coach Sean McVay getting his guy in Matthew Stafford to exit the wildcard round this year. Now, simply put, I do think the Packers are a better team than the Cardinals, and most of the time people would agree with that. And if the 49ers are going to Seattle in the playoffs, or if the Seahawks are going to the 49ers, I will be taking the home team 9 times out of 10, and I do not trust Jimmy Garoppolo or a rookie Trey Lance to go into Seattle and win a playoff game on the road. Could Trey Lance eventually do that? Probably yes, but I do not think that will happen in his rookie year against the Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Jamal Adams, who by the way got a contract extension, led Seahawks. Now, the divisional round had the Packers visiting the Seahawks and the Rams visiting the Buccaneers, and honestly, again, it relates back to the home team, and that does not simply say that the home team will win every game, because as we saw last year, the Bucs beat the Packers, and honestly, I did think Tom and the gang were going to beat Aaron Rodgers when it came down to it in the playoffs, as Tom usually does have the last laugh. However, here we have Russell Wilson, who has not been to an NFC Championship game in a couple of years, getting back there. And who knows how many more times he will go there in his career. He is in his young 30s. It's not like he is in his upper 30s and is about to retire, but who knows how long he will play with the Seahawks. And obviously this is supposed to be a last dance for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, the thing with the NFC is it is absolutely loaded in the top 6 or 7 seeds, and really it wouldn't surprise me if any of the top 6 or 7 seeds get to the NFC Championship game. Now, one thing I do want to say is I don't think the Arizona Cardinals this year are going to be all that great. Do they have a bright future with Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, of course, the players on defense like Zaven Collins, for example, and Isaiah Simmons? Yes, they do have a bright future, but, and there's usually a but in here, I do have concerns with the Arizona Cardinals and how they will handle up against at Seattle, at the Rams, and yes, I do know that they have beat the Seahawks in Seattle multiple times before, but that was in the regular season when it really didn't matter, and the Cardinals have not been to the playoffs in a couple of years, as the Chicago Bears made the playoffs over them last year, and one concern that I have is I don't think they're going to win the NFC West this year. It would surprise me if they win. It would kind of also surprise me if the 49ers win, given their current quarterback situation, and because of that, I do not think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals at this point in their career can go on to the road and in the postseason and win 3 straight road games to go to the Super Bowl. I simply don't see that happening in 2021, and I don't think that's exactly hating as much as it is being realistic about their 2021 season. Now, if you are a Cardinals fan watching this and you think that they can, by all means, be happy, go for it, but I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl in 2021. Now, as you can probably guess, I do have the Bucs beating the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, and we are going to get back to the other teams that did not make the playoffs, including the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, but ultimately, the reason why I do have the Bucs going to the Super Bowl for the second straight year is, if there's one thing that we've learned as football fans over the past 20 years, and more specifically the past 7 or so, it is do not bet against Tom Brady. That's just reality. Don't bet against him, and more often than not, you are going to win. And I don't think the Seahawks have a low shot at getting to the Super Bowl. It wouldn't surprise me if they got there. And honestly, there's a lot of teams that could apply for. Not just them, it also applies to the Packers and the Rams. And I do think ultimately it will be the Packers, Rams, Seahawks, or Bucs heading to the Super Bowl and for the NFC. But in today's video, we do have Tom and the gang heading back to back. Now, will they win is another question. But in today's video, we do have them going to the Super Bowl, and as for the other teams, the Minnesota Vikings, they finished 9-8 and were the 8th seed in this hypothetical playoff matchup, but it would not surprise me at all if they win 10 or 11 or 12 games. There were some tricky games for them that we will now go over. I had them losing to the Browns. It would not surprise me if they win in Kevin Stefanski's homecoming. As you can see, I also had them losing to the Arizona Cardinals, and I do think they are going to lose to the Ravens after that Sunday night game against the Cowboys. I don't think there's any way they go into Baltimore and beat Lamar Jackson and the gang. If they do, awesome, good for them, but at this point in time, I do not see that happening. Now, again, the Cardinals and the Browns games could very easily be flipped, and that could have them going from 9-8 and being an 8 seed to 11-6, and then getting into the playoffs and seeing what they can do with Kirk Cousins and the gang. Now, ultimately, I did have the Bears going 5-12, and this is how I broke it down. It would not surprise me if they win some of these other games, like the Detroit one, probably most notably. It also would not surprise me if they split with the Packers. I do think their defense is going to be very good, and how they manage Justin Fields this year is going to be interesting, and I really can't wait to watch it. I love Justin Fields, and how he plays in his rookie year with Allen Robinson, with David Montgomery, and of course the offensive line, and how they do, of course tight end Cole Kmet, is going to be very fun to watch. It is a rebuilding year for them, given that they drafted a rookie quarterback. Now, I would be surprised if they go 10 wins plus. As you can see, I had them going 5-12. But most notably, I do want to say, Bears fans, that a lot of those games, it was either flip of the coin. It could have been either way, and unfortunately for Bears fans in today's video, I had them going 5-12, though when it comes down to it, I would not be surprised if they get 7 wins, would not be surprised if they get 8 or even 9 wins. Now, next we have the Philadelphia Eagles, and we had them going 5-12, and one thing that concerns me this year is the overall talent of the roster, and I do love Jalen Hurts, and everyone preaches and praises Jalen for how good of a kid he is and how hard of a worker he is, but it's another thing to be a great NFL quarterback, and while I don't necessarily think Jalen is a bust or a bad quarterback, I don't think the talent is all there around him when it comes down to it, and I do have concerns regarding the rest of the Eagles roster. So 5-12 wouldn't surprise me if they go, again, 4-13. It also wouldn't really surprise me if they go 7-10. Unfortunately for the Eagles, unless there's a serious string of injuries in 2021, I don't think they're going to win the NFC East. And the final team's schedule we are going to show in today's video is the Saints. We had them going 7-10, and as you'll probably note right away, I had them losing to the New York Jets, and basically I thought that was a trap game. They play the Bucks immediately after that, and the reality is the Jets beat the Browns last year. Could the Jets be a trap team for the next couple of years? It wouldn't surprise me if they were, but I do think the Jets are very much on the rise, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities for them to beat the Saints with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston at quarterback. Now, as we wrap up today's video, it wouldn't surprise me if some of these teams have a lot more wins than what I predicted them to have. It is very tough to predict all of these games, especially in the middle of August, because there are certainly injuries that we don't know about. Teams could get hot that we simply don't foresee coming, and there are a lot of other unknown factors at this point in time. So please note as I exit today's video, and if you're still watching, and if you want to comment below after this, by all means, go for it. Please note if I had your team being atrocious or less than what you thought they were going to be. That does not mean they are doomed. That does not mean I absolutely hate them and think they're god-awful, because it most of the time does not work out like that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world. And until next time, until film breakdowns later this weekend, have a great day. Love you guys. Deuces. Peace.